So we're going to start off with this pom-pom wreath. I bought my supplies at the dollar store. I purchased 4 colors of yarn. I was trying to stick with neutral colors, so I got a bundle of white, a light beige, and 2 tones of gray. And of course, I purchased the wreath. So to start off, I took a stool and I flipped it upside down and I started to wrap my yarn around the 2 legs. You want to try and wrap it nice and tight until you have a very nice thick layer. You don't want it too thin. You want to end up in the end with a nice plump pom-pom. So I just continued wrapping. So once I reached the thickness that I was looking for, I took 8 pieces of twine and I separated my yarn 2 inches apart from each other. Now you want to make sure that your string is long enough to manage later while you're shaping your pom-poms and adding your pom-poms onto your wreath. If I was to do this again, I would probably not use twine. I would probably try and stick with the same color of yarn just because the twine kind of showed through a little bit, and I don't know. I mean, it worked out okay. I just kind of fluffed around the twine so you couldn't see it that much. So now I'm just jimmying my last piece of string in there. So next you're going to want to cut in the middle of each section. So here I am just cutting. And you're going to want to take your hanging piece of twine and push your yarn down and just trim around the pom-pom. The more you trim, the fluffier it will be. So just play around with it and just shape it how you like it. Now I am just taking that piece of twine and I'm tying it down to my wreath. I flipped it around so you can see better what I'm doing. And at first, just tie it down with 1 knot so that way it gives you room to rearrange how you like it. And once you have everything placed how you like it, you are going to make a second tie just to reinforce your pom-poms, and then cut off any excess string. And once you're done, you end up with this beautiful wreath. I think it just looks so cozy and adds so much texture to your space. So up next, I bought this large snowflake on clearance after Christmas. I paid $1 for it. It had some red plaid cloth over top of it, so I ripped the plaid off. I apologized, I lost the footage. And as I was painting my snowflake, I realized I can make my own snowflake with the little 3D look. So I remembered that I had a pack of 8 smaller snowflakes that I had bought at Dollar General. It was $1. I took one of the snowflakes and I cut it in half, and then I took my 2 halves and hot glued the 2 half sections onto my snowflake. And now I have smaller snowflakes to go along with my bigger snowflake. So now I made 1, 2, 3 snowflakes. So now I'm just painting my snowflakes. I'm using a gray color. You can use any color that you like, or you could add glitter to it, which I think it would make it look very pretty. I think these came out really beautiful, and I think they just add some nice dimension to your space. So on to my next project, I'm using one of the extra snowflakes that I had as a charm for a beaded garland. The beads came from a garland that I bought on sale after Christmas. It was about a 4-foot long garland of beads and bells, and I just cut the beads off and I used some of them for this project. So now I'm making my tassel. I'm just wrapping twine around my hand. I cut it in half, and then I just proceed to straighten it out, and I take another piece of twine and I just wrap it around the middle. You don't want to tie it too tight. You want to give a little bit of room so you can use the loop to attach the tassel onto your garland. So now I'm folding it over from the middle, and I'm taking another piece of twine and just kind of wrapping it around the top to make your cap of your tassel. So now I'm just taking the loop that I told you to make, and I'm adding it onto the garland. And then you just want to take some scissors and trim up the bottom of your tassel to make it look nice and neat. And I think this looks so beautiful. So next up, we're making a gnome out of socks. The snowflake sock I purchased from Target. It was $3 for the pair. And then the solid white pair I purchased for $1 at the dollar store. And as you can see, I'm using the solid color sock as my body. I'm just stuffing it with paper, and I'm making a nice heavy knot at the top. You're going to want that later on when you add on your hat. Next, I cut off a piece of an old shag pillow that I had, and I'm using this for the beard. I have seen these kind of pillows at Five Below, Target Dollar Spot. Check some of your secondhand stores, or just buy a small piece of shaggy fabric from the store. Then you're going to want to trim it up how you want it to look and just attach it with hot glue. So now I'm attaching the hat to the body of the gnome with some hot glue. I fold it over the bottom of the sock just to make it look more like how a hat would look. And I'm just making sure that I reinforce all the way around. I leave the sock a little bit elevated where I'm going to put the nose. And as you can see, the knot that I told you to make nice and firm, it just kind of stands the hat up the way the gnomes would originally look. So this is a pom-pom garland that I bought on clearance after Christmas. I thought it would look perfect for a nose. You can make your own pom-pom. Dollar store sells plastic tennis balls and a pack of 4 that you could paint and then attach. So I was trying to figure out what color I wanted to go with, whether I wanted to go with the beige or the white. I decided to go with the beige. I think it kind of breaks up all the white. Let me know in the comments what color would you have decided to go with. So then I just position his nose where I want it, and I arrange the hat over top of the nose, reinforcing all the way around with hot glue. So my final step, I have another garland that you're about to see in a minute. I bought this on clearance also after the holidays, and I think the pom-poms on this garland, the possibilities is really endless, especially with Easter coming up. Anyway, you can always make your own pom-pom, as I mentioned earlier. So here's the garland. So I'm just doing a little cut, and then I'm taking my hot glue gun, and I am just going to hot glue this pom-pom on the bottom of his hat. And I think that this looks so cute, and I only spent a few dollars to make this gnome. So on to our next project. I bought this tree from the dollar store. It was all wrapped in tinsel. So I just ripped off the tinsel, and now I have a mold. The fabric that I'll be using to wrap around this tree is actually a mop pad from the dollar store. Yes, you heard me right. We are using a mop pad. You're going to want to wrap the fabric nice and tight, hot gluing the ends together. You're going to want to grab your other piece of fabric and just do the same thing. Just wrap it around nice and tight, hot glue, wrap it some more. Just wrap it all the way around and keep reinforcing it until you get to the top of the tree. And then when you're finished that, you're going to want to just fluff it around and take some scissors, just shape it, clean it up. And I found this star that I just attached to the top, and I think it just really complements the tree. It looks so cozy and just adds a lot of texture to your space. So now we are making snowballs for our final project. You can buy a multi-pack of styrofoam balls at Walmart or Hobby Lobby. I purchased a pack with different sizes. You'll just need some glue and some Epsom salt. The salt just gives it a nice crystal look, like how snowballs would look. And you're just going to roll it around in the glue, and you're going to roll it around in the Epsom salt. I didn't really need to do too much because this was a project that I did last year with my grandchildren. So I just needed to touch it up. And I think it just really complements your space. Here's a picture of my grandchildren helping me make the snowballs last year.